Hi everyone, it's Amber. Hello. I dress like I'm about to go build a snowman in my house because it's very cold in my house. It is this big adobe brick building that is impossible to heat in the winter unless you're standing like literally in front of the fire. And I think I'm going to keep this video short so I can go back and sit by the fire again. But I wanted to talk today about compassion fatigue, which is something we all experience because human beings were not built to process the amount of pain and suffering that we are asked to process every single day. The internet is beautiful in so many ways, but it's also terrible in that it presents us with all of these catastrophes all the time. And so when something especially big happens, and right now it's the massive isn't even the word for the wildfires in Australia right now. Millions and millions of acres are burning, and it's easy to feel like it's easy to get completely overwhelmed by that because one, you're a nice person and you're worried about the people and the animals and who are in danger and losing their homes and dying, and now I'm making it worse by listing all of the terrible things in this video. But so you have compassion, and you have compassion for those beings that are suffering, and that's a beautiful part of you, of me, of all of us. But when it begins to interfere with our ability to live our lives, it's something to take a step back and look at. My story with compassion fatigue is I was, I don't know, in my 20s, working at a desk job. I was working at a little magazine in San Francisco. And my routine in the morning would be to get there late because it was a nonprofit and they were paying me nothing, so I could kind of show up half an hour late if I desired. And so I would show up, I would get some coffee, and I would look at the news online. And then I would sit and cry at my desk for anywhere from half an hour to an hour. I would sit there and cry at my desk. And at some point, I started to realize, one, this isn't really a good use of my time. Two, this isn't really a good use of the company's time. Three, maybe I should stop reading the news. And so I did. And here's where it gets a little tricky because we believe, many of us feel and believe that we're taught, we are inculcated with this belief that to be a good citizen, we need to know what's going on. And to an extent, yes, that may be true in that, we want to know who we choose to vote for, where to go and do that, how we can actually help. But most of what we're ingesting, most of the energy and the pain and the trauma of the world that we are either taking on or witnessing or just being present with, there's not much we can do about it. There are certainly some things, but most of it is completely out of our control to assist with, which is hard, I think, for a lot of us who really do want to help. And so I don't watch the news anymore. I do my very best to curate my feed so that I don't see a lot of the pain and trauma and news that is happening. And if there's a judgment you have about yourself if you do that, when you do that, if there's a judgment you have about me about doing that, that's great, that's fine, that's part of this process. But I would encourage you to just take a look at that judgment and ask yourself, okay, is this really true? Is it true that I'm a bad person if I'm not worried constantly about the state of the world? No, it's not true. Is it true that I'm not a good human, citizen, whatever, if I don't know what's happening all the time? No, absolutely not. One of the best things we can do for ourselves is turn off the internet, turn off the news, turn off the things that make us feel bad, make us feel overwhelmed, make us feel like doomed, make us feel depressed, anything that is coming in through this little box that I am speaking to you through that doesn't feel good should be turned off. And again, there might be some thoughts or some judgments around that. And of course, there are always those times when if you look at something uncomfortable or you're triggered, there's a gift in that discomfort or that trigger that's worth investigating. But again, you're going to best be able to investigate that by turning off whatever it is you're looking at and going inside and saying, all right, what's the deal with that? Why did I just want to yell at that person on Twitter? Why am I feeling a great deal of shame over something I read from somebody else who I've never met in my life and never will meet? So I'm drifting a little bit. So let's get back to compassion fatigue. Compassion fatigue, we need to take care of ourselves first. And if you feel selfish contemplating that thought or, God forbid, doing anything to take care of yourself, that's something to investigate too, because of course, we cannot do anything at all for the world until we're taking care of ourselves. Another story that might be helpful in this is when my father was in the hospital, my brother and I were there with him. And we would sort of take turns. I would be there for a while, then he would be there for a while. And, I had to go to New York for a month. So my brother camped and went to the hospital every day. But he didn't spend all day, every day there. He would hang out with my dad for maybe an hour, getting up every so often to take laps around the halls. I'm realizing this isn't really my story to share. Maybe I shouldn't have shared it. But my brother will probably never see this video, so that's okay. My point is that we both showed up while also taking care of ourselves, while also making sure that we were fed and exercised and taking care of our own emotions while we were doing our best to be there for our father. And that is absolutely essential. And so I would say if you feel like you're suffering from some compassion fatigue, which I suspect we all are, take a step back and ask, okay, what do I need right now? What do I need to support myself so that I can show up for myself, my life, my work, my people, and the world in the best possible way? Because it's when we're really well nurtured, taken care of physically, emotionally, energetically, mentally, that's when we can show up and we can do the thing that we can do to make a difference, to help in the world. And another piece of this can be all of the causes, saving the whales, saving the environment, helping the poor, healthcare. There are so many things in this world that need attention and need help. It can feel, gosh, I need to be doing so many things. I need to be giving money everywhere. I need to be volunteering everywhere. I need to be talking about this Facebook posts are arguably maybe not helping the world, hard to say. And also, a lot of my work is on Facebook, so I'm hoping that it is helpful. But my point is, what is my point? I just lost my point. That sometimes happens. It just flutters away. Fly away, little point, fly away. Feeling like there are so many causes that we need to help and support because there's so many things we believe in, but not all of those things are for us to do. One of the things that brings me great comfort is that there's so many of us, many billions of us on this planet, and each of us has our own mission. For some people, saving the whales is going to be the most important thing. It's going to be their passion, their drive, and they will be relentless about it. And God bless those people, because I don't think I have time for the whales and the goats and the people and the everything else that is happening. So we can really take that step back and feel in and see, okay, what is deeply important to me? I know I can't help every single human in the world. Who can I help today? What cause or what environmental disaster or what is it that really pulls at me, and how can I translate that emotion and that compassion into something tangible that I can do within the constructs of my finances, my time, my energy. Because, not all of us are built to do all of the things. I had a friend who would say, God bless the protesters. That isn't me. And that's perfectly fine. It's wonderful to know that you are too sensitive to be in a crowd of people who are very mad about something. Some of us are just not built to show up in that way. We are built to show up in other ways that maybe many of those protesters aren't built for. They're built for what they're doing. And so we want to find the way to help that we are personally built for. And it's going to be the way that feels good. It's going to be the way that feels possible or impossible, because we're talking about some big things here. And it's, it might be financial, it might be energetic, it might be time, it might be physical. You might be the person to go out and pick up trash on the highway. You might be the person to send cooling energy to the continent of Australia and trust that actually is helping. You might be the person to send, a big check somewhere. You might be the person to, there's so many different ways that we can help that will feel good and feel supported and feel possible. And so we need to allow ourselves to disconnect from the pain of the world without feeling shame. So let's just sit with that for a moment. We need to allow ourselves to disconnect from the pain of the world without feeling shame. Because when we allow ourselves to step back and really focus inward, that's when we can start to make the difference we really want to make. That's when we can actually help in a really big, beautiful way. So I think that's all I have to say about that. I hope it was helpful. I hope some piece of that landed for you. There are a lot of different energetic ways that you can do this. There are a lot of physical ways that you can do this. First of all, just turn off the goddamn internet. Turn off the TV, get off your laptop, go take a walk, go take a shower, go take a bath, go read a book, like an actual book with paper pages that will not flash little messages at you every 5 minutes. Go sit under a tree, go volunteer at a local food bank, go look up the charity that you're most interested in and see what they need. There are so many ways physically to do this. And then energetically, you can, take a few moments, just breathe and just sort of feel into what that sense of compassion fatigue, how it feels in your body, and just breathe with it, and imagine the tendrils that the world has in you. Imagine those just dissolving into a cloud of golden light, or dissolving in whatever way feels good to you, and just feel the world as whole and perfect and supported, and every human and animal and plant and insect, I don't know how far you want to go with this, feel every being on this planet supported and abundant and healthy and happy, and whatever it is that you want to feel, just feel that and know that when we do that, we are actually greatly contributing to the health of the world. The energetic health of the world is something that I think is going to start being in conversation. It is to some extent right now, but not really in mainstream conversation. But I think this is something that's really going to start cropping up. And so if you're here, you're probably more in tune with the energetics of this. You might be less likely to go protest, or even do anything in the physical realm, but you are very available for helping energetically. And so there's a lot that can be done in that way too. And feel free to comment or email me if you want me to talk more about that, because I can do more of that as well. So yeah, I hope this was helpful. Compassion fatigue, just know that you are not a bad person for taking time for yourself and for letting it go. It can be very easy to just want to dive into that that pain, that suffering, because you feel like that's a way that you can help, or that's a way that you can empathize with people. Um, you know, but it can really drain us. It can really be a significant weight that we begin to carry around, or maybe have been carrying around for a long time. So maybe see yourself standing at the edge of a cliff and dumping that weight over into the sea. Um, I know that when, thinking about these wildfires, which is where this whole video started, I live in Sonoma now, and there are a lot of wildfires in this part of California. During the wildfire season, and it's a little scary because we've had three huge wildfires over the past few years, and it's always very scary in that time. In this past wildfire season, we had a house full of like 10 people, evacuees and animals, and it was just bursting at the seams, which was a lot for my little empath self. And it's sort of weird to know that other people are not having that same experience when you're so in it. But in many ways, it was actually a comfort to know that there were other people just living their lives and able to help if they could, and not worrying about it if they couldn't. And that actually, it feels good to know that everybody is taking care of themselves. I don't know if that story was helpful, or what did I actually want to say with that story? I guess to say that compassion fatigue, whether you're experiencing it in a very distant way, maybe you're across the world from Australia and you're just reading about it on the internet, or a very visceral way because people who are experiencing that kind of trauma are in your house, you take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. Take care of yourself first. Take care of yourself first. And whatever comes up around feeling selfish, or like you don't care, or feeling shame around taking care of yourself in that way, just investigate that. Ask yourself if that's true. And it's not, because we all deserve to be taking care of ourselves. Okay, I'm really going to stop now because I want to go sit by the fire. I hope that was helpful. Thank you.